I know that I can't be the only one who thinks it's tricky to teach a foreign language, and it's certainly tricky to learn one, let alone teach it. So I thought I'd walk you through our day and what it's like teaching French and learning it. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jill and I'm the homeschool mom to a 9-year-old girl in the 4th grade. So let me walk you through what we do for homeschool French. Morgan picked French, and I'm thankful she did because I speak a little bit of it, so I feel like I'm a little bit ahead of her in that regard, and I think that helps. But what do you do if you're a homeschool mom, you have a younger child, you don't have a language, but you think it's important for your kids to learn? What do you do? Where do you start? Let's start with the basics. There's 4. There's listening, there's speaking, there's reading, and there's writing. We learn our second language differently than our first. And so a lot of it is just sort of, well, how do I start? Where do I start? This isn't how we learned our first language. It isn't. Your first foreign language is not going to be like your native language. So that's why I encourage you to balance listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and doing it every single day. I let Morgan sort of guide herself, but she doesn't realize that as she's learning the language, she's able to sit for a longer period of time and really think through things because it's building. Now she has maybe 700 vocabulary words and 14 verbs. That's kind of how I weigh it. And she's getting used to talking to me. So we do little skits and we talk together to get our speaking. Speaking is so important. A lot of linguists, people who have started a foreign language and they've been doing it for 2 years, 3 years, and they're still considered what people call language mute because they can read, they can write a little bit of it, they can listen, so they can watch TV maybe and watch a movie and understand it, but they can't speak it. So when you have that problem, then you have had a misbalance in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And I'm intentionally keeping that balance every day for Morgan. And here's the goal. So there's a thing called the CEFR, and it's the Common European Framework of Reference. And it's the EU who's gotten together and discussed and decided what levels of language there are, and then it's up to each country to develop a standardized test for each one of those levels. There's 6 levels. Let's see, it starts with A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. The ramp up from A1 to C2 is large and steep. So A1 is very beginner. It's very basic French. You're conjugating verbs only in the present tense. They don't expect you to use the conditional, or if you would have done that, could you have? And that's more complicated language. And so A1 is very basic. Then I think in B1 you can get to university. You can go to a foreign university with B1. And C2, you could easily be mistaken for a foreign national because your accent is good and you speak without really thinking. It just comes naturally. So I want Morgan to test in A1. And I want her to see that I can do it too, that I want to better myself and increase my language. So when she takes the A1 test, I'd like to take the B1. I think I'm a B1. I think I'm intermediate. And so that's our goal. So the whole, we have goals in math and we have goals in history and where our kids should be here. And then sometimes, especially if you're not used to a foreign language, you're like, well, what am I doing? And how do I do it? And have a goal. And so our goal is to pass the DELF. The Diplôme d'études en langue française, which is the certificate that is issued by the Ministry of France saying that you are an A1 or you are an A2. And it's a pass-fail. It's not A, B, C, D, E. Oh, I guess there's not an E. I think in England they might have an E grade. So it's not A, B, C, D, F. You take the test, you either achieve the DELF, you either achieve the certificate or you don't. And I've decided that even if Morgan is not ready to achieve an A1 level, I'd like her to take the test anyway in June because it's good practice. And it really, man, if you are in front of a panel of people trying to speak a foreign language, that you are on a hot seat. And that is a lesson in trauma and humility. And so I I believe life doesn't get any easier after the age of 9. It only gets more complicated. And I think giving Morgan the experience to test in that type of thing, a real professional test, is great experience. And then if she doesn't achieve it, so what? I'm not weighing her success taking the test on whether she gets her certificate or not. I'm weighing it on getting her to the door so that she will take the test and then speak a foreign language to a panel of French testers, French examiners. So that's where we are. And in order to do that, I need to keep a balance. I want to do listening, reading, speaking, and writing equally. So here's how we go about it. Every school day, which is Monday through Friday, we do French, and we do it quite seriously. So after math, Morgan started doing maybe just 20 minutes of French a day, and now we're up over an hour and 20 minutes a day. So we start with, I give Morgan an option. She can do any one. She could start with writing, or she can start with reading or listening. It doesn't matter. She usually chooses to do her Duolingo and Rosetta Stone. No, we left Rosetta Stone, Babbel. Rosetta Stone is a little slow, and it's the application is very glitchy. And when I wrote to the tech department for Rosetta Stone, they admitted that is a problem, and so it's not our Wi-Fi. We live out in the middle, somewhere between the middle of nowhere and where the heck are we? But we have Wi-Fi. We have really good Wi-Fi. So I knew it wasn't us. So because of that, there's really nothing more annoying than trying to learn something and then the system just glitches and glitches. So we left Rosetta Stone. I still use it for my own purposes, but it's too frustrating for Morgan. So I did a little bit more research, and we got a year's subscription to Babbel. Babbel is very similar to Rosetta Stone, but it's just a little bit quicker pace. The lessons are really short, so she can, I don't tell her to just do a lesson. I tell her to do 20 minutes. And so I don't care what she does with Babbel as long as it's 20 minutes. And then from there, she switches to do a 20 minutes again with Duolingo. And here's the reason why I do 2 of those. And I do them she does them every day, because those 2 kind of swerve around like this and kind of come together and then pull apart with, she might learn a verb here, but not in Babbel, but not in Duolingo, but then she'll learn it later on. And so they sort of intertwine in an interesting way that keeps her from being bored. So if she's learning in one, she might be reviewing in another, and vice versa. And the timing of it so far, I mean, I'm not doing it. It's just sort of happening. So I'm glad that the timing is working really well with that. So from after Babbel and Duolingo, she then has some workbooks. I think I've got 7 workbooks, and I'm going to show you our 2 favorite. They're all tabbed. All of my workbooks are tabbed, and I'll explain why I think tabbing is really important. So this one is by Carson DeLosa. It's middle and high school French. It's the beginner book. These, I've read through all of them. I've audited them because there's not a lot of beta testing like there is in math. There's not a lot of beta testing in these French books, which is really frustrating. So sometimes you don't know who created it, or actually Carson DeLosa is good. But sometimes you can get some, you don't know who created it, and there's too many errors in it. And if you're a new speaker too, it's just a bridge too far for you to be able to do all of the corrections and say what is right and what is wrong. These should be right. There is, I think, 1 mistake in each one of these, so it's pretty good. So we start with this one. She can do either this one or the other one. This one is Beginner French Workbook by Brainy Books, level 1, and I think they're coming out with a level 2. We're going to buy it because we really like these. But I use multiple books, and I tab them because they all sort of address the same topic differently. And we know that with language and anything else that we're learning that we want to put in our brains from short-term to midterm, midterm to then long-term memory is repetition. We also know that repetition is boring. And so when I have her repeat, sometimes if we're talking about clothing, it'll be chapter 3, but clothing in this one is chapter 5, for instance. We'll do it, and then I'll be able to tab through really quickly and go, okay, well, let's do this clothing one because this one's got socks in it and that one's got shoes in it for vocabulary or something. They're all very similar, but their timing for the chapters is different. And I can control by having multiple workbooks. I can control what she does for her workbooks on a daily basis. So if I know, because I'm sitting there listening to her taking Duolingo and Rosetta Stone, I keep saying that, but she's doing Babbel now. Not in my long-term memory. I know what she's learning. I know if she's got the verb aimer, which is to love, and so I might pull that out of the workbook, and she can do the verb conjugation there, or to have, or to be, or to drink, or to eat, and so I can hear what she is doing, and then I look through and back up what she's learning with the workbooks. And so it really is a daily sort of pick, choose, and select. And then from there, when she's doing her quiet study, she has a little quiet study folder, and it's like study hall for homeschool study hall, quiet study. She's got her little folder here, and daily she has her core topics. She has 3 core topics for this year, and that is math, reading, and French. And so I back that up with extra things in here. So if she's gone through clothing for that week, then I might photocopy this book and then this book and a page from another book and put it in her quiet study notebook, so that when she's done with French and I'm starting to get lunch together, or she needs a break, after her break, she can go into her quiet study, and everything in here is valid. Everything in here is what she has just learned. It's not new material. So none of this it's all kind of to teach her independent study and independent study with French. So that's why I put that in there. So then she can go and, oh, there's a confidence booster. Oh, I've done this. This is a review. But it's fun review because she can take this into her room. She can sit around and do it in her own time. There's no grade. There's no testing. None of this is graded. This is just extra helping work. So that's what I do with that as well. So then let's see. We've done the workbook, and she does her Duolingo and her Babbel. And then we have books. So for reading and listening, I've picked up a whole ton of books. I'll show you a few of them. These are great. If you've done Bob books with your kids in learning English, this is sort of a Bob book-like kind of a thing. And this is Language Together. If you're not comfortable reading these, let's see, they have Spanish, English, French, German, Italian, and Mandarin. So if you're uncomfortable reading these and you're learning it yourself, you can get the audio on their website and have it read to you. And in fact, there are many books like that. So I think before you purchase a French book, look to see on YouTube if somebody has read the book for you, does a flip through and reads it to you. And if you need that help, go and buy those books that they have. Or if they're showing it to you, you don't have to buy the book at all. You can just watch the book, read the book on YouTube, and listen to them. And then just play it over and over again and replicate it together. Take turns reading a page, for instance. So from there, then they're really cute. They're just little cute books, and they teach you things like this one is colors, Crazy for Colors, Fou de couleur. And it says something very simple. Je vois le blanc. I see white. And every page is I see in a different color. So it gets you used to not only learning the different colors, but it teaches you the very first part of conjugating voir, to see, je vois, I see. And so all of the books kind of build like that. And I would highly encourage, they're not super cheap, but you get 6 or 7 books for the box, and the box is $25. There's a level 3 that we're going to buy as well. I can't find them used. They're not on Thrift Books yet that I've seen. But a couple on Thrift Books that we have gotten that would otherwise be like $13 a book if you bought it from the company or from Amazon is Je suis en CP. I am in CP, and CP is cours primaire, I think, which is kindergarten, first grade. And it's little stories about kids in the first grade or kindergarten. And this is New Kid, the New Kid. And it kind of walks you through, it gives you an image. The image directly relates to what's going on the page, just like, teaching your kid in school in English. And it walks you through. And I'm not sure if you can find somebody on YouTube who's read it, who can read it to you. But if you can read, these are adorable. These are really cute. And we bought them on Thrift Books for like $5 instead of $13. Another group is the Samy et Julie series, Le CP de Samy, so Sammy goes to school, and he has adventures, and we love Sammy à Paris, we love Sammy in Paris, and so his family is going on a trip to Paris, and they go through all of the main sites, and they go to the Louvre, and they go shopping, and they have all of these adventures. The one thing I really like about this book, let me see if I can find one, is if you can see that, it's all of the text is in black except for a couple of letters are in gray. And that is to help you understand that in French, not all letters written are pronounced. And so la rue, the road, you don't pronounce the E. It's just to tell you that it's silent. And I really like that. That's a great helper for a kid to not pronounce a certain sound or a letter. Even though you write it, you don't sound it out. And then another thing that we like to do is cursive. And so if Morgan's going to do cursive, she might as well do it in French. I like the cursive in French because, oh, I'm kicking the camera, sorry. I like French cursive because I always had trouble slanting, writing even in English. And so French cursive is more up and down, and it's really pretty. I like it. So Morgan works on this. She can do this anytime she wants. And if you're going to do it, if you're going to do cursive, what does it matter if it's in English or French? And so I have her cursive books are all in French, and so she learns some vocabulary and sentence structure, sentence building in that regard. Let's see, what else do I do? Oh, so I love making skits. So I'll write out little skits for me and Morgan to get her speaking, because speaking is always the hardest part. It's to get it out there. It's embarrassing. It's hard. You feel silly and stupid saying new and kind of weird sounds and stuff. And so we make it a game. And it started with, I would just write out her script that she could sound out. And she didn't necessarily know what every word was, but we'd do it every day. And she'd eventually realize, oh, well, that's my name is, or I live on. And as she was using the workbook and then Babbel and Duolingo, it all starts to sort of get into a big jumbly ball. It starts to make sense. And so my skits that I would write out would be directly related to what she was learning. And they all start with introductions. So that's what most of these books start out with, is my name is. And so I wrote out, bonjour, je m'appelle Morgan, je suis américaine, j'habite à North Dakota, et j'ai 9 ans, comment allez-vous? And then I would answer my part of the skit. And every day we would practice. And now they're getting more and more complicated. Like today I'm going to the park. We're learning all sorts of words through that, and also beginning to get used to building our own sentences. So with that, I think sentence building is a huge deal. The workbooks don't all practice sentence building, except this one really does. This one, once you get through half the book, it starts giving you sentences and in English that they want you to build. Let me see if I can find one here. And so from the vocabulary that they've already given you, they want you to use it to construct a sentence and conjugate the verb. And so it'll be something like, my family is in the garden. And if you can't remember how to write out the sentence, they don't give you anything in this page. They don't give you anything that you haven't already done. And so if Morgan can't remember how to do, like if she doesn't remember the word in, it's in the book from previously of what she's already done. She knows where to find it. And part of the thing that I like to teach her is independence. I'm not going to help her find the word if she's already learned it. I might give her a hint, and because sometimes she might want to actually say or write something that isn't in that book, and so she'll ask me, and I'll say, I'm pretty sure it's in that book, or this book, or maybe it's in your vocab cards, because we build vocab cards too, to do like quick flash of. I just flash as soon as speed vocabulary is what we do. So that's sort of what we do for now. And then I guess I'll give updates, and I'm interested in knowing if you are also doing a foreign language. Don't be afraid of it. It seems crazy at first. You just think, what am I doing? It's like starting from scratch without even being in your own language. And it very quickly, we're in the third month and Morgan is speaking in French. She's developed her own sentences. She asks me questions. She says things in French. She's not always right, but I don't always correct her, especially if she's really pleased with herself and she wants to continue on and she's not done with her thought. I'm not going to interrupt her and correct her. That's not the place. If I understand what she's trying to say, that's essentially she's succeeded. You're just going to slaughter the language. It's okay. And if you want to learn other languages or take the test, I think ours is the DELF for French, and then for for Italian it's the Celle, and I think that's CELE. For Spanish it's Ciel, which is Ciel or Ciele, Ciel, SIELE. So if you want to look up where to take that test and how to take that test and what's expected, you can do that. The German one is the Goethe, Goethe, and there's a couple of you are your kids are learning Japanese. The Japanese state testing or country testing is the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. I actually looked up the Chinese one because there's somebody out there learning Chinese, and you know, if your kid is speaking Chinese, what if they go overseas, or what if they want a job and they want to be able to advertise that, hey, I speak Chinese. Okay, but what level? You can't just say you got an A or a B in it. Maybe they want to take the test and actually say, I have a certificate that tests me at, you know, X level. They measure it differently. They're not A1, A2, B1, B2, but you can look that up. It's called the HSK. That's the Chinese test, and it stands for Hong Yu Shui Pin Shao Shi. No, I didn't do that right. Hang on. I'm going to do that again. Hong Yu Shui Pin Kao Shi. Yeah. Sounds good, doesn't it? That's beautiful. It literally means Mandarin level test. And so if that's something that you're interested in, especially if it's just to give you a goal, stick a pin in it, put it in the calendar, start small, little teeny baby steps. I don't expect Morgan to be a B1 at the end of the year. I don't expect her to be an A1 at the end of the year. I only expect her to take the road trip to Minneapolis with me and try the test. Let's see where we are, right? That's all we can ask. Anyway, I hope you're doing well in your homeschool, and I hope this video sort of opened your eyes and your mind to the idea that it's not a bridge too far to give yourself a shot with teaching and learning a foreign language. See ya.